The vow of Durood-e-Ibrahim, a gift for Bibi Jan, guaranteed acceptance of dua. It all began on a quiet Friday before dawn, when my mother, Bibi Jan, sat near the window whispering Durood-e-Ibrahim under her breath. I had seen her do this since childhood, her fingers gliding through the tasbih beads, her eyes wet with love. That morning she called me and said, "My son, make a vow to recite 100 Durood-e-Ibrahim every day, not for yourself, but as a gift for the Prophet and for me." I promised without fully understanding its weight. That vow became the turning point of my life. The first night I began, the world seemed still, and every word felt like light rising to the heavens. By the 7th day, I felt peace I had never known. On the 10th, the miracle came, a long-delayed exam result I had lost hope in was suddenly approved, doors of opportunity opening where none existed. I told my mother, and she smiled softly, when a child sends Durood as a gift, Allah accepts his dua as the Prophet intercedes. I kept my vow. Every morning before sunrise, I whispered the same rhythm, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin, and my life transformed quietly. My mother's health, which had been fragile for years, began to strengthen. My own heart softened, my anger faded, and rizq flowed like unseen rain. Then one night, I dreamt of light, golden, endless, and a voice said, "Every Durood sent with love returns multiplied. You gave a gift to your mother, and Allah returned it as mercy to both of you." From that day I understood, the vow of Durood-e-Ibrahim is not just remembrance, it is a bridge between love on earth and mercy in heaven. Whoever recites it sincerely for another will see their dua accepted beyond doubt, because every blessing sent to the Prophet comes back carrying the fragrance of acceptance. After that dream, I woke up before dawn with tears streaming down my face. My room felt filled with something I couldn't explain, a calm so deep it silenced every thought. I performed wudu, sat on my prayer mat, and began again, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin, 100 times, as I had vowed to Bibi January. But now every recitation felt different. Each word carried meaning, each breath felt sacred. I could almost feel angels surrounding me, carrying my Durood upward like lanterns toward the unseen. That morning, when my mother woke up, she said something that froze me. "I saw your father in my dream last night. He was smiling and said, 'Your son's gift has reached the heavens.'" I knew then that the vow had been accepted. In the days that followed, small miracles began to unfold, debts disappeared, my job troubles resolved, and an unexpected proposal came to our family that brought joy and peace. Everything we asked for seemed to find us with ease. But the greatest miracle was what happened inside me. My heart no longer carried fear. I understood that when you make a vow of Durood and keep it with love, you are not just reciting, you are offering a gift that never fades. It travels through the heavens, touches the beloved, and returns to you wrapped in mercy. Every Durood becomes a messenger of your dua, and when it reaches the Prophet, how can Allah refuse it? Bibi Jan said to me one evening, her voice soft as dusk, "My son, when you give your Durood as a gift, it becomes eternal. Even when you are gone, your blessings continue to live." That night I realized, the vow I made for her had become a light for both of us, one that would never die. From that night onward, my vow was no longer a task, it became breath itself. Every morning before sunrise, I felt as though I was sitting at the doorway of heaven, offering my 100 Duroods like flowers at the feet of the Prophet. Each word carried the scent of devotion, each repetition drew me closer to something vast and eternal. One evening, as I sat with Bibi Jan, she looked at me with a light in her eyes I hadn't seen for years. "Do you feel it too?" she asked. "The peace that doesn't come from this world?" I nodded. I felt it in my bones. Our home, once filled with worry and noise, had become a place of serenity. Even our neighbors began to notice. People said, "Your house has a calm energy, like it's blessed." And they were right. Because every Durood recited with love changes not just the one who speaks it, but the very air around them. Soon, more signs appeared. My younger sister, who had been struggling with infertility for years, called us crying with joy she was expecting a child. My mother smiled and said, "It's the vow. Allah never leaves a heart empty when it sends blessings upon His beloved." I finally understood what my father's dream had meant. The vow was not a bargain with Allah, it was a gift of love that the heavens could not ignore. The more I gave, the more returned multiplied. And now, whenever life becomes heavy or uncertain, I don't ask for help. I sit quietly, open my palms, and recite my vow: 100 Duroods for Bibi Jan, 100 for gratitude, 100 for the Prophet, because I have seen with my own eyes that whoever gives Durood as a gift will never leave the court of Allah empty-handed. As the months passed, the vow of Durood-e-Ibrahim became the heartbeat of our home. Every dawn carried a fragrance of peace, every evening ended with gratitude. I began to see how the unseen world moved quietly for those who remembered Allah's beloved. Even on days when I was tired or overwhelmed, the moment I started the first recitation, all heaviness disappeared as if lifted by unseen hands. One night during Ramadan, I woke up before Suhoor and found Bibi Jan already awake, her hands raised in dua. The room shimmered with stillness, and as I joined her, we both began reciting together, voices low but filled with devotion. Somewhere between the 50th and 60th Durood, something indescribable happened, a wave of peace so strong that it felt like the entire world had paused. In that silence, I heard her whisper, "My son, do you feel that?" I nodded, unable to speak. It was as though the gates of mercy had opened, and the acceptance of our duas had already descended. The next morning, we received news that my mother's health, which doctors had called fragile, had stabilized completely. Later, I received a call that confirmed a scholarship I'd long thought impossible. Blessings began to flow one after another, not loud miracles, but quiet transformations. I realized then that the vow of Durood isn't about asking for something, it's about giving, trusting, and loving. When you recite with a pure heart, Allah writes your name among those whose prayers are accepted before they even speak them. That's when I understood the final truth my mother always said with a smile: the vow of Durood is a circle, what begins as a gift returns as mercy, and mercy never ends. After that Ramadan, our lives took on a softness that only Allah's mercy can create. Every sunrise felt like a new beginning, every hardship like a hidden blessing. The vow of Durood-e-Ibrahim had become more than a daily act, it was now our family's lifeline, our silent bridge to the unseen. Sometimes when I came home late, I would hear Bibi Jan's voice floating through the hallway, her Durood steady and rhythmic, filling the house with light. Even guests who visited said they felt peace as soon as they entered. It was then I realized that every recitation leaves a trace of Noor behind, our walls had become witnesses to our devotion. One evening, I sat beside her as she finished her tasbih. She smiled and said, "My son, Allah has accepted your vow. Look around you, our home has barakah in every corner." She was right. Our risk increased without greed, health stayed strong, and our hearts never again drowned in fear. When she finally placed her tasbih down and whispered, "Now this Durood will continue through you," I understood that she was passing me something sacred, an inheritance of light. From that day forward, I made a promise: even after she leaves this world, I will keep reciting 100 Duroods each dawn as her eternal gift. Because I have witnessed its power, the vow that began as a child's promise became a chain of mercy that bound our hearts to the Prophet forever. Whoever keeps such a vow with love will never know despair again. For when you send Durood sincerely, your voice doesn't just echo in this world, it is carried by angels to the court of the beloved, and from there, straight into the acceptance of Allah. Years later, when Bibi Jan returned to her Lord, the house felt unbearably silent. For days I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, until one dawn I heard her voice in memory, soft, gentle, steady, "My son, don't stop the vow." I rose, performed wudu, and began again, "Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin," 100 times, just as I had promised her. And as the final words left my lips, that same peace filled the room, the same golden stillness I'd felt years ago. I knew she was near, smiling. Since then, I have never missed a single day. Through every storm, every success, every moment of longing, the vow of Durood-e-Ibrahim has carried me like light carries a flame. It brought healing when medicine failed, provision when doors were closed, and love when hearts had grown distant. I understood then what Bibi Jan had always known, that a single durood, whispered with love, can travel farther than any prayer, reach higher than any word, and return carrying the fragrance of divine acceptance. Now, whenever I sit beneath the dawn sky and recite for her, I feel the unseen world answering back. Because this is the final secret of the vow: what you send as a gift in love never dies. It becomes eternal. It becomes light. It becomes your bridge to Allah, and through it, every dua you ever made finds its way home.